Good morning. So today I'm gonna make a pair of bisque trousers. Actually, I'm gonna try to make 2 pairs of bisque trousers. I'm super excited. I've already made this pattern before, so I know it's foolproof and that it fits me properly. If you watched my last video, you would know that I'm heading to California for my baby sister's graduation, and it is hot in California. So I'm gonna make a few pairs of shorts to bring with me. I have made the bisque trousers before, and I'm actually wearing them right now. I love these shorts, honestly. They're the best. The only issue I have with these ones are that they crease super easily. Yeah, that was just an issue on my part because I did not pre-wash the fabric. I didn't have an issue in terms of shrinkage, but if I had pre-washed the fabric, I would have known that it was going to wrinkle the way that it did, and I probably wouldn't have made it out of this type of material. It's kind of like a denim or a twill, but I don't know, for some reason it wrinkles. So anyways, I'm going to make them out of wool blend suitings today. I have a black and a white, or like a creamy tan, maybe you'd call it. Here's that cream color. It has already been pre-washed. As you can see, I searched the edges so that it wouldn't come undone in the wash. I'm excited about this one. It doesn't wrinkle at all. I'm just hoping that it's not see-through in any way, but I guess we'll find out. I also have this wool blend suiting. You can see there's kind of a stripe in here. It was being sold as is, but that's fine. I can probably just avoid that. I did put this through the wash and it did crinkle a little bit, as you can see, but I'm thinking that that'll be minimal. I'm gonna iron it out and see how it goes. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, so I have my pieces cut out. It took a lot longer than expected because I had some things come up this morning, so I wasn't able to just focus on the shorts, which means I'm probably not gonna get 2 of these done tonight, especially since I have to sew them at separate times since they're different colors and I have to use different thread. So that wasn't fully thought out. That's okay. We're gonna get started on the cream ones because they don't wrinkle like the black material. So if I only get to finish 1 pair of shorts, I want it to be the cream ones because they'll be less fussy when I bring them on vacation and put them in a suitcase. So let's get to it. I have these pins in place that are marking the dot points. Between this side and this side, there's 4 of them. There are also notches up at the top here. This is the first notch and this is the second notch. So you fold it on this first notch here, and then I ironed this down. And then from where that notch is up here, you sew straight from here all the way to here. And that'll be the first pleat. The seam is now in place. Now we're gonna flip it open here. We're gonna press the seam all the way to the end, plus another 4 inches. Then we're gonna baste this seam down so it stays in place. Okay, here's a little trick. Sometimes I put this small ruler in place so that I can get a nice straight stitch from the notch at the top to the notch at the bottom. All right, on to these back pieces now. There are 3 notches up at the top here. You fold it on the middle notch, and then you press all the way down to the dot that's here. Then you're gonna sew from the notch here all the way to here, and then you're gonna curve from here all the way to here. The back pleat is in place, and now we're gonna take the seam allowance and we're gonna push the seam allowance that way, and we're gonna iron this out so it's nice and crispy. Okay, so we've prepped both of the front pieces and both of the back pieces, and now it's time to move on to the pockets. The pockets can seem kind of complicated. The instructions are really clear, but it doesn't mean it's not difficult to understand. So I'm gonna walk you through it so that you can see how it goes and hopefully you can get it first try. The very first time I did the bisque trousers, I actually did the pockets correctly, and the second time I did the bisque trousers, I did not do the pockets correctly. So hopefully this section is helpful for you to refer back to anytime you do this pocket so that the pocket isn't an issue for you in the future. Okay, so here is one front piece, and here is one pocket. This slanted edge right here is gonna be attached to this slanted edge right here, but you're only gonna attach it from the top of the slant to the end of the slant. So this is gonna get folded over like this, and then you're gonna pull this back so that you don't accidentally attach it. And you're gonna line these up and pin them down. We're gonna sew from here to here with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, I've stitched it in place, and just for reference, this is what it looks like. This is the front piece. We've attached it at the pocket here, and we've pressed it all the way this way. Now what's gonna happen next is we're gonna understitch this entire piece here so that you don't see any stitches once the pocket is fully in place. And we're also going to make a notch right here so that it flips under really easily. Okay, we've understitched and we're now looking at the back view of the trouser shorts. The pocket piece here is folded under, and what's going to happen now is we're going to align this edge here with this edge here. This is the top of the waistband, so it looks like this. And we're going to sew a 1/2 inch seam allowance from here all the way to this seam that we made here. And then we're gonna press this seam open. Okay, here's the top of the waistband. It's starting to make a lot more sense now, right? So the seam allowance is this way. The pocket seam allowance we're pushing this way, and then we're pressing this all the way down, and this is the pocket here. Okay, I realized that I missed a step earlier. I should have French seamed this pocket closed, but it's okay. It's still completely open, so there's no reason I can't French seam it now. It's actually kind of nice that the pocket is already in place because sometimes when you do a French seam, it's hard to wrap your mind around how it's gonna look at the very end. So now I can at least visualize what the French seam is gonna look like with the pocket already on. It's also super helpful because the wrong side and the right side of my fabric, it's really hard to tell the difference between. So anyways, I'm gonna French seam this pocket now. Essentially, you do one stitch, you flip it inside out and press it, you trim a little bit of the edge, and then you do another stitch to enclose it fully. Okay, I have officially French seamed the bottom of this pocket. Now there's a raw edge here and there's a raw edge here. When I first made these shorts, this raw edge really concerned me, but essentially the waistband gets flipped down like this and it's gonna get completely enclosed. So it's totally okay that this is raw. What we're gonna do is we're gonna baste this whole raw edge down with a straight basting stitch here, and then we're also gonna baste this in place, and that'll be the full pocket done. All right, check this baby out. It's looking like a full front pant so far. Yeah, like I said, the pocket can be a little bit confusing, but I feel like the construction of this short is just like so beautiful and intelligent, and yeah, I just love it. Well, it's been a while again because I misplaced my seam ripper the other day and I've been making do without it, but I just got to a point where I need my seam ripper. Up until this point, I've only owned one seam ripper, like the minimalist that I am. So I went to the fabric store and I bought 2 seam rippers. Hopefully I never lose a seam ripper again because that is the biggest pain in the butt ever. If you sew a lot, you know that your seam ripper is your best friend even if you hate them. Okay, check out these beautiful babies. They are starting to really look like a pair of shorts with some really beautiful pockets in here. Okay, so what happens next is we're going to sandwich these together so that they look like this. And now we're gonna sew a straight stitch all the way through this curve to the end here, and it's gonna be at a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then we're gonna serge that whole edge. Look at that beauty. All right, we're moving along pretty fast. So we're gonna do the exact same things to the back pieces now. We're going to stitch them together, we're gonna serge them, and then we're gonna press them, and then we're gonna top stitch them. Just make sure that when you top stitch them and press them that you're pressing them to the correct side so that when you match up the crotch seams later, they're all facing the same way. I'm not gonna take a video of all these steps because they're the exact same as the last steps. You got this. Okay, I'm back. The back piece is done. The front piece is done. They are ready to get put together. Just as a quick heads up, I'm omitting the back pockets. I only really like to add details that are useful. Not that pockets aren't useful, but for my personal life, I really only use back pockets for my phone. But I found that the front pockets are so deep that it's like perfect for a phone and there's no need for me to have back pockets. So I'm just gonna completely omit those. Back pockets are just super easy though. You prep them, you put them on, and then you sew them down. Easy. The next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna put the crotch pieces together of the front and the back, and then we're gonna do pretty much the same steps that we've already done. We're going to sew them at a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then we're gonna serge them, and then we're gonna press them, and then we're gonna top stitch them. Here we go. Here's what it looks like with the 2 crotch pieces matching. We're now gonna sew a straight stitch across here at 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now that the crotch is all stitched together, we're going to open it up and we're gonna press towards the front seam, and then we're gonna top stitch it down. Just ironed, and now we get to top stitch some more. Let's take a second to just appreciate how beautiful this stitching is. Thank you, thank you. Okay, now that we've been doing this together for a while, can you guess what the next step is? That's right. We're gonna put the side seams together, we're going to pin them, we are going to stitch them, we are going to serge them, we're gonna press them, and we're gonna top stitch them. Do it with me again. Pins are all in, and these are ready to be stitched together. The straight stitch is in on both sides. And just like magic, it is also serged together. Next thing we're gonna do is press the seam allowance towards the back side, and then we're gonna top stitch that down.
Okay, these babies are really starting to look like shorts now. The last thing to do is the waistband and the hem, and we will be good to go. I'm gonna use a seam gauge for the hem. I would also recommend this to you, but use whatever you got.
Okay, we're gonna turn the shorts inside out now. We're gonna press them down a 1/2 inch, and then we're gonna press them down again another 2 1/4 of an inch. That's gonna be the tube that the elastic goes through. I'm also gonna serge all the way around. I'm also gonna serge all the way around the waistband just because it'll be easier for me to work with, but that's not necessary at all.
Okay, here's what the waistband looks like pressed. If you did everything correctly, that basting stitch that you had is going to be enclosed, and that raw edge from the pocket will also be enclosed. Now we're gonna take it to the machine and we're gonna do a top stitch all the way around. Just be mindful that we're leaving a gap at the very back so that we can insert the elastic. Also, this would be a great time to add a label on the interior if you decided you wanted to. Okay, tell me this isn't the cutest combo ever. Anyways, the top stitch is in place and there's a section here that's left open that we're gonna thread the elastic through. Grab your super thick elastic and measure it around your waist to make sure that it fits nice and snug. Add an extra inch so that it overlays and we can zigzag stitch it together once it's inside of the pants, shorts, whatever. Go ahead and measure and cut out the amount of elastic you need, and then we're gonna thread it through the shorts. Take your elastic, take your pin, pop your pin through here, closed up, and we're gonna use this pin to shimmy the elastic all the way through the waistband. Okay, so the elastic has gone all the way through and I've overlapped the edges here, and now we're gonna zigzag stitch all the way across. The zigzag stitch allows it to still stretch without the stitches popping, so make sure that you're using a zigzag stitch and not a straight stitch. Also, make sure your elastic hasn't gotten twisted anywhere. Once you tack these down, that's gonna suck to undo, and it's an easy mistake to avoid if you just double check before you stitch it. The elastic is fully in there and closed up, and now we're just gonna top stitch over this so that everything is enclosed. Okay, I enclosed the whole waistband, and now is a really good time to try them on, so that's what we're gonna do. And then I'm gonna make sure that the length is where I want them to be, and I'm gonna cut them so that they're the right length for me to hem them. Ooh, okay, these are looking fabulous. Looking exactly how I want them to. I feel like this video isn't doing them justice, but they're fantastic. They look great, they feel great, they're awesome. There's my booty. Okay, I kinda like the length right now. I'm just gonna turn them up twice. I'm gonna press them, and I'm gonna hem them all the way around. Okay, they're done. They came out super nice. Exactly how I wanted them. Yay. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.